We're live. Jason, how you doing, man?
Good. Rob, how are you?
I'm doing well. We have Music Talk with John and Trevor in the
Yeah.
comments.
Hey, fellas.
We're a man down tonight. I mean, Sam's supposed to be joining us, but you know how long it takes to do his hair. But Alex is down. Trevor or John, if either of you guys want to join us, let me know and I'll throw the link up in the comments. You're welcome to join us. There's another stream competing with us tonight because
What? Who?
Low Noise Jason Skills in Ottawa is doing a live chat with our good pal Brian from Embryonic Robot.
No way.
I gave him shit. I said, "You sons of bitches." It was all good fun because they're both good dudes.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the skills guy. I guess I haven't latched
He's
on
good.
to that
I've
one.
not met him personally. He does come to Toronto frequently enough, but
He's the Ottawa area, eh?
yeah, he's Ottawa. Yeah,
Nice.
he likes some of that DJ shit, and he likes to, you know, do sessions where he stream. You know, he plays stuff live and well, whatever.
That's
Not my
cool.
type of music, but he's a
I
good
don't know
dude.
how those guys do that. Like, I know that PB Thal there, he frequently like plays music in the background during his live stuff, but
Yeah,
and somehow he makes it work. And I just find that would be really technically challenging to get the audio to function properly, so it's working.
oh, that doesn't bother. Just the potential for copyright strikes scares the shit out of me because
Oh yeah.
I've had one copyright strike, just one, and it was on a short, and it was like the thought of, you know, you get three, you lose your channel, and there's no recourse. And I thought, man, the amount of hours and stuff that I've put into this, the thought of losing it, I couldn't do it. So I'm like, I will not play music at all, like for anything. I do in the shorts because it's licensed in the shorts. If you pull it from YouTube short library, you're fine.
Okay.
But
yeah, I didn't know how that worked.
yeah, you got to.
Mr. Sanctuary's here. Richard S.
There he is.
Here. Right on.
Trevor, you want to join us? John, you want to join us? We got room here. It's gonna be awfully boring listening to me and Jason talk all night.
Damn right.
I mean, it's boring to listen to us talk even when there's a group of people, but you know.
Yeah. But somehow you guys stick it out.
Right? And we thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's the weather up there, man? Is it warm now? There's Marsha. Hey, Marsha.
Yeah, it's getting to be gardening and growing season now, so it's all hands on deck outside trying to get everything organized.
Today was beautiful here. It's either been warm or sunny, but not both. If it's warm, it's piss and rain, or if it's sunny, it's cold as balls. Well, today was the first day. It was sunny. It was 19 degrees.
Oh wow!
No, walked my son to school this morning. I had shorts on. It was great.
I was gonna say you had shorts on.
I mean, I wear shorts when it's cool anyway, but it was just nice to not be cold wearing shorts. So it was good. It was good.
What have you been listening to? What's on that turntable of yours?
Today was The Boss.
Oh, what album?
Today was Born in the USA.
It's so good.
I got to tell you, man, I'm just enjoying my Springsteen plunge. You know, because I knew the hits, right? But up until 2 months ago, just I'd never bought. I gotta go listen to Bruce. I just never had. And now I've got from the second album up through Born in the USA, so it's like 5 or 6 albums, and love them all. And I'm looking for Asbury Park, and then I'm gonna digest that, and then I'm gonna do a video about, you know, a newcomer's perspective on Bruce Springsteen. Because I've had a few people comment and go, it must be incredible to hear those songs for the first time. And I guess, right? But I think of it like, I'm such a huge Beatles fan. I can imagine someone listening to those for the first time and what a cool experience that would be. So I appreciate that. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to craft that Springsteen video, but it's going to take me a few weeks to, well, it depends on when I find a copy of Asbury Park. So
as a music nerd, it's pretty exhilarating finding an artist that already has like a huge catalog and you just discover them. Like, I don't remember the last one that I found that I was like, they've been around forever, but I don't know anything about them until I dove into the Flaming Lips And then whenever I found them and I listened to their Yoshimi album, and I was like, Jesus, where the hell have these guys been forever?
Right.
And among other artists, but like that's the first one that comes to mind.
Well, what I love about Bruce is he's got 40 years of music, and it's like, where do you start? And I just love where I've dove in. He spends all this time in hair and makeup, and he's wearing a hat.
Love that hat.
Cheers, boys.
You up?
How you doing, man?
Good, fellas. How are y'all?
I'm doing
Good.
well, doing well.
Yeah.
Hey, what's an artist? We were just talking, Sam. I guess for me, I kind of identified the Flaming Lips, and Rob was talking about Springsteen, which spurred it on. What's an artist that you discovered late that already has a pretty existing back catalog? And we're just saying how exciting it is to dive into an artist that's kind of like that, right? You find someone new, but hey, look at all the freaking library I get to go through now.
Glenn Calloway, his channel was
It's
a big
beautiful.
one. Yeah.
You don't have to kiss his ass. He's not here.
Yeah. I'll put my chapstick on before I got on.
Ooh.
I mean, for me, I mean, it's obviously I mean, like what you define as late. Honestly, probably the Stones. Like I haven't even gotten through all the Stone stuff.
Well, Sam's so young though; he discovered everything late, right? Like, and I'm not saying that to be a smartass, but you got into the Beatles in the mid 2000s,
2009,
40 years after they recorded it, right? So.
Yeah,
and I still haven't dove into either the Beatles or the Stones beyond their major kind of catalog, right? And I know there's so much to see. You ask me about Beatles songs, I'll give you all the big hits and everything like that.
Man.
But I don't know what album has what. Like
their biggest hit was "Band on the Run," Jason.
That's gonna piss off someone.
Yeah.
So what we need to do with Jason is we need to get him through the Beatles. Is what we need to do.
Yeah, you tell me. Well, you know what? When it comes to a band like that, I just want to start right from the beginning and just kind of. And most bands, I like to do that. I want to know what they sounded like at the beginning and then progress.
And that's I think that's the way to do the Beatles, because if you started somewhere else, it's not going to make sense. But you start with "Please Please Me." By the time you get to Abbey Road, you go, "Holy shit! These guys were in their mid-20s when they wrote all this stuff, and they did all of this in 7 years."
Yeah.
Incredible when you think.
I was part of a friendly, loving debate on Sunday with one of my aunts. She's the youngest of my mom's sisters. She's not 50 yet. She's close, but she's not there yet. And she just made the statement. She made a statement about the Beatles. And don't everybody jump all at once, because she said in her opinion, she said the Beatles are overrated. Ooh. And of course, she was in the wrong place. I mean, it was funny because my mom was sitting next to her on the couch, and she kind of patted her on the leg, and she's like, "You've done it now." And then my mom got up and left, and just let me go off. You know, I was in a very diplomatic way, because she was asking genuine questions, and I was like, "I understand," because she was saying, she said, I just don't like the music. I said, "That's fine if you don't like the music. That's fine." I said, "But the big thing that you have to realize is their influence." So just that in itself means they're not overrated. They could be, like you could say that, I don't know, like Dr. Dre, you could say he's overrated. You might hate his music, but what that man did in production for rap music is just like untouched by anybody, whether you like the music or not. You could say the same thing about like Garth Brooks and country and the country music, show in stadiums. I don't like Garth Brooks music, but I can't deny that he had an impact on the country genre moving to the stadium.
Or to be totally relevant, people go, how overrated Taylor Swift is. There's no denying there's few that have had the impact on music that she has.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about the quality of the music. I'm just saying the impact culturally, bringing new people into music,
I think that
what she's done for the vinyl resurgence, what she's done for artist rights. You don't have to like her music, but the influence is staggering.
Yeah.
I think an industry influence in her part for sure. Like those last three you mentioned, those are the big ones there. Look at the comments there, Rob. What's his? What did he say?
Where am I?
Music Talk with John. If you like Nebraska, which is like my favorite album, you got to check out The Ghost of Tom Joad. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I haven't got there yet, and I'm with you, John. I loved Nebraska. Is what triggered the whole thing for me, because I think I talked about it in a video recently. I did my last video. I'd heard it in a record store, didn't know what it was, stupidly enough, and it blew my mind. And that was kind of my jumping off point. And then people are like, "Well, go with the albums around there, Born to Run and Darkness on the Edge of Town." And, but I love Nebraska, and if Tom Joad is kind of the same kind of deal, shit, I'm all over it then.
Yeah, I'm all in on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was. He kind of like said too that was like his part 2 of Nebraska. It was Tom Joad.
Okay.
Yeah, but see, and somebody mentioned, haha, John.
Always the funny man.
Yeah, well, he tries. We give him like a bless your heart here in the South. But
I love that saying because it really is passive aggressive saying you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, because I mean you've spent time in North Carolina quite a bit.
Absolutely,
Rob, so,
yeah.
Bless your heart is often.
Fuck you.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, with the beginning, I mean, because Richard mentioned always start at the beginning when checking out Unfamiliar. I don't fully agree necessarily because, like, I mean, I don't know this band well, but like a group like the Moody Blues, for example, they were more like R&B, like when Denny Lane was still singing with them, and like you might get into those first 2 albums and you're like, ooh, I love the Moody Blues, and then you hear the rest of them and you're like, oh no, thank you.
So I remember someone asked Glenn once upon a time, where do you start with Frank Zappa? And Glenn was like, not at the beginning. He goes, and I don't remember what the answer was, but start here because
probably Hot Rats.
Who knows?
Yeah,
but yeah. Sometimes the first ones are not the most accessible, and it can you listen and go, man, I don't like that, and then you miss out on the stuff that is really good because you got turned off by maybe something that's a little weaker. So yeah, I don't necessarily agree that the beginning is the place to start. In the case of the Beatles, it absolutely is. Jason, you got to listen to the album. Please me before next week.
I wonder how many I'll know. I wonder, like, there's so.
You'll know a few.
Yeah,
and that's a quick listen. It's the whole album's like 35 minutes, maybe,
if even. I mean, those first up through at least Rubber Soul. I mean, you're looking at 33-minute albums.
Yeah, and it's all pretty fast paced. Early rock and roll, American R&B kind of covers and originals and whatever.
2.5-minute songs.
Yeah, they're all 2.5-minute ditties, and they're all great.
And then that's another thing. Like, I mean, you can take solo Beatles, and we didn't mean for this to be a Beatles thing, but like Wings, I wouldn't start with Wings' first album, Wildlife, which I like, but you want to start with Wings, you start with Band on the Run.
Absolutely.
And then you kind of feel things out from there, because even the later stuff like Red Rose Speedway, you have everybody in the band sings at least one song, and like people have mixed feelings about Back to the Egg and London Town and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Band on the Run, then going to Venus and Mars, and then from there kind of explore as you will throughout the other 7 albums that they had, 6 albums. But yeah.
I mean, here's a good point here. We were fortunate in the 70s. You liked the song, you bought the 45. Well, now you like the song, you just download it out or stream it off Spotify, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
45s are cool. I got a bunch, but if I never bought another 45, I'd be okay with it. Because
yeah, same. I have a few. They never get spun. It's just more of a keepsake / artifact or whatever, right? But
yeah.
I don't want to get up and change the song flip the record every 2 minutes.
Well, there's another thing that was interesting too, because I was talking with my aunt and uncle, because her husband was sitting there as well, and he was a guitar major in college. He's 50 years old, but he was saying, with his vast knowledge of music, he said he's only got about 5 albums that he would really want to listen to all the way through. It just shows like how we're so weird in our little vinyl community here. Like we are like the exception of so many people, like in the mass music world. Unless, I mean, that's another thing about the Taylor Swift people, which I'll give them props for, is that they do go all in and listen to the full record, So, but like one of the records that he mentioned was, oh gosh, swiftly put that away, please. So
I'm getting hard over here.
But he mentioned, oh gosh,
I'm joking. Maybe later.
Cheers,
boys. You need another PBR after that. Sorry to interrupt, Sam. Keep going.
Can't say it's the first. Can't say it's the second. No, I mean, he was saying the Joshua Tree was one of the few albums that he could listen to all the way through, which, obviously solid record, Rob, we talked about it.
I
But
may have listened to it once or 1,000 times.
right. Yeah. Jason, that's by a group called U2. The lead singer is this guy named Sonny Bono. No, I mean, like,
he's got a guitar player called the Vortex.
right. Yeah. Right.
Okay, here,
and-
I got a question. I'm going to feed off this here.
Okay.
I have a whole list of questions. Peanut Gallery, chime in if you want. Okay, so out loud right now, we'll each say a favorite band. Doesn't have to be your number one. It could be your top 5. Okay, so Rob, are you just going to go Beatles? What are you going to say?
Favorite band?
Yeah, or artist.
There's so many.
Well, I know. Just choose one that has a bunch of albums, right? Like, just say the Beatles. That's fine. You can.
I go with Creedence.
Okay, Creedence. Sam, who are you going to pick?
Of any, say the question again. I completely missed your question.
Well, it's a two-part question. So just name a favorite band or artist.
Okay.
You got to say it out loud. We got to hold you to it. You can't change your mind when the second part of the question comes in.
John Prine.
Okay, and I'll just say Pearl Jam because I'm very unoriginal. So, how many albums? You don't have to know the answer to this, but actually, you kind of do need to know, but you can kind of guess it. You have to eliminate a quarter of their catalog.
Oh, okay.
What are you going to do?
That's easy.
So you'd have to figure out how many albums each artist has.
Regular
studio albums.
I'm good with that. I'll answer this right off the hop. So I think Creedence has roughly about 8 albums. I think 6 albums, something like that.
Yeah.
And easily, I would get rid of Mardi Gras and Pendulum because they both suck.
I have Pendulum. It was like so cheap. I had to buy it because it was my first CCR option to buy. I was like, damn.
And I don't listen to either of them. One of them, which was the last one, which I think was, I'm going to probably get it wrong. Pendulum? No, Mardi Gras was the last. Whatever the last one was, Fogarty Mardi Gras. Fogarty relinquished control because the other guys were like, oh, we should write songs too. He goes, have at it, fellas. See if you can do any better. And they couldn't.
Yes, that's right.
And it sucks. But it did have a couple good tunes on. I think, if I remember, I think Sweet Hitchhiker, I think, was on that.
Yeah. Or Hey Tonight. Wasn't Hey Tonight on
Hey Tonight? Yeah.
Hey,
that's like one good Fogarty song.
Which is an awesome song. I think that's what made me, I might as well take this. At least I recognize the one.
Yeah.
So I think, quick Google search, I think Prine has about 18 studio albums.
18, yeah.
So what are you going to knock out of there?
You got to go to like 5 or 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't be too hard. I have all the Prine albums on CD. I probably got about a third of them on vinyl. He did a couple,
not out of your collection, but out of history.
Yeah. Like they don't exist, kind of thing.
They don't exist.
I'm probably gonna go. So the second to last album that he did, For Better or For Worse, and I've got his Wikipedia page up here, so I'm not looking at you guys. So For Better or For Worse was kind of like a duets album with a bunch of female country singers. It was part 2 to a record he put out called In Spite of Ourselves, which came out in 1999.
What time?
So I'd get rid of For Better or For Worse. I'd get rid of the album before that, which was essentially a covers album with Mac Wiseman, who's a bluegrass singer. Maybe this album, Lost Dogs and Miss Blessings, I would remove. And maybe the album German Afternoons as well. Because he does, I mean, that's, again, he does a lot of co-writing on that. It's got a lot more of a country bluegrassy feel, but I mean, I wouldn't have a big issue removing those records from his catalog.
You call yourself a fan, throwing away all those albums.
Hey, you made us do it. I got to address Dan's comment here. He goes, "No, Pendulum is fantastic."
Come on, man.
Well, I don't know, maybe. But he says, he's right. It does have Molina. Just a thought. Have you ever seen her? Yes, great songs. But if Jason's putting a gun to my head and said I have to wipe 2 albums off the face of the earth, that's got to be one of them, because there's no way you can get rid of Cosmo's Factory or Willie and the Poor Boys or Green River or the South. You can't. So it's got to be Pendulum and Mardi Gras. Sorry.
That's a tough call. What a catalog.
What about you, Jason? What you getting rid of?
For Pearl Jam, I'd have to get rid of their 2009 album Backspacer, their 2013 album Lightning Bolt, and their 2002 album Riot Act. And like, again, like for me being a hardcore fan, I would never want to get rid of any of them, but at least those are the ones. And it's funny because I know people that are kind of late to the game for that band, and some of the, like at least one of those albums is like their favorite. But so every band's got some, I wouldn't say they're duds, but the one, ultimately I choose the ones that I don't listen to, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
That's good to know how mean you are to your favorite artists.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't have an issue. I mean, like everybody that I love, I mean, I could get rid of, some of Tom Petty's albums, even though I think Tom Petty, again, I've said it before, to me, Tom Petty in my little world is the only artist with a perfect catalog. I don't think a single one of his songs sucks. I think it's all great. And that's over, the Beatles have songs that suck. Dylan does, Van Morrison does. To me, Tom Petty, it's perfection to me. So that would be tough because every album has something that I like, but I could still do it.
I'm the same way. I mean, I could get rid of some Beatles stuff. I could get rid of some Blue Rodeo stuff. No problem. I get rid of some U2 stuff. Sure.
Well, Rob, not to make this like a bashing contest, but obviously, the oldest of my two sisters is a diehard Swiftie.
Right. My favorite topic. I
asked her on Friday. I said, because she obviously had a few days with the new record.
Right.
I said, if you had to, there you go. I said, where would you rank it? Like I said, where would you rank her
Good
lower?
Question.
Like her three worst albums, and she could not do it. And I'm like, that's one of the issues that I have. And again, I'm not bashing, but like when people can't separate, it's their favorite artist ever. You can still say this album is the worst in my whole, catalog of them.
So I'm going to answer that exact question because I've been thinking about this. Love Taylor for many reasons. And I said this in my pickups video that I did last week when I was talking about this album. I really like it.
Yeah.
However, my complaint with it is actually a complaint I've read a little bit on the internet, funny enough, is that a lot of people are kind of going, it's good, but we've heard it already because it's really not that different than Midnights and Evermore and Folklore. So for that very reason, it's a big album. It's a little bloated. Had we not already had Folklore, Evermore, and Midnights, this would rank very high. But I think just because it's kind of been there, done that, I'm going to rank it like third to last. I mean, last for me is Reputation. I don't like it. Second to last is the self-titled, and then I'm going to put Tortured Poet Department. Yeah, I don't dislike it. It's just been there, done that 3 times already.
I honestly haven't listened to it. I listened to like a little bit. My daughter was playing it, and I enjoyed it. But I could appreciate the criticism that seems to be everywhere. Is that it just sounds like a lot of the other stuff. But at the end of the day, I would never shit on her or her career because she's had such a.
I would if she asked me to.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing.
I think the strongest argument when someone like criticizes her, the strongest counterpoint that I would say publicly is like, look, how many people she's gotten to appreciate into music, right? And I guess that's a pretty big deal. Anyway, look, Vaginal's here. Okay, good.
Where?
Catch up on the comments there. Actually, there's a couple of good ones. Martin says the Stones, I would lose everything after Some Girls. That's interesting.
I'm way behind in comments here. I'm asleep at the wheel here. All right. Yes.
Veg is in the house. I don't see the comment showing up on my end.
No, it's just Vaginal changed his name to something else to mask it, so it's Safe and Sound Vaginal Audio.
Oh, okay.
That's a different guy. That's our pal David from Texas.
Because I watched the stream, and David was on the stream, and then that guy was in the comments.
I love David. David's got the best. He's one of the fellow hosts of the Violent Community Podcast, and he's got David. I've told him this: the best voice for podcasting. just like smooth as
David
butter.
is hilarious. Like
Love
on
him.
live streams, he is
Yeah.
freaking quick-witted son of a bitch.
Love him. He's great.
Yeah.
I've had the
I will
privilege
say,
to be on Chance's channel with him before.
Before I answer John's question, let me just take a moment because this is a music related community that we're in here. We lost two people in the music world today. We lost Dwayne Eddy, the very famous guitar player.
Oh.
And then we lost Richard Tandy from ELO. Known by his friends as Dick Tandy, but very lovingly. But he was the guy that kind of like he was the last ELO member that was kind of hanging out with Jeff on that first tour that he did as the reunion tour. But he was one of Jeff's confidants and all that stuff. So I know he'd been ill for a while. He missed the last tour. And then Dwayne was like 86, 87 years old.
Yeah, he must have been way up there.
Yeah. So anyway, I would probably get rid of Echo, John, from 1999. That's the album that Tom Petty disliked the least. Vagina didn't hear about Dick Tandy. But yeah, he's gone. It's a hard one to take, but Echo was the one where Tom was going through some addiction issues. They were essentially Howie Epstein was getting kicked from the band because of his drug addiction. There was a divorce happening. There's a lot going on. So it is kind of draggy. It's kind of like Paul McCartney's Driving Rain for people that know Driving Rain. Damn. So
Sir Dick.
Yeah, Echo, John. Even though the song Echo is great. And you've got the song Swingin' on there, which is a good song. But yeah, so
I'm way behind in comments here. Any artists we couldn't get rid of anything for? I think I could probably chop something from everybody.
Yeah, that's the whole question, I guess, is you'd have to suffer through getting rid of something.
Jason, who else is in your? I mean, you're a PJ guy, but like, who else do you have on that Mount Rushmore
of bands?
Yeah.
Oh, Dylan, Zeppelin, Neil Young, like just kind of classic, awesome bands. But like more modern day, like I really like My Morning Jacket and Lord Huron. They're way up there.
Well, here we go, Jason. Which Lord Huron has what four records?
Yeah. What would I get rid of? I'd probably get rid of Vide Noir. Strange Trails and Long Lost are huge. Lonesome Dreams is fantastic. I'd probably rank Long Lost, Strange Trails, Lonesome Dreams, and Vide Noir. I don't know. Vide Noir's got Moonbeam and Back from the Edge on it, and those two songs get a lot of play. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's
Vide Noir would be mine, I think, but it's hard to spank.
I wouldn't enjoy it, but I'd get rid of it. Yeah.
What about Zepp? Because they have a smaller catalog.
Yeah, I think I would probably fall in the tradition of getting rid of like the last couple, like Coda,
Presence.
Seems to really like, and I don't mind Presence. I don't know In Through the Outdoor as well as I should, but those three last ones are the ones I would probably chop. And I don't know what I'd rank first. It's always a debate between Zeppelin 3, which a lot of people actually don't like. I think it's fantastic because I love the acoustic work on it. But I would take 4, 3, 2, and 1 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Billy Joel. Yeah, I was wondering, John, I thought about this question earlier today, and I wondered if you were in here and what you would say about Billy Joel.
I'm just I'm skimming here. Let's see here.
Oh, yep. Okay. I have a greatest hits question here.
Oh boy. Well, that's a good segue then. I pulled this one up for that reason.
It's a good segue, but it's not really much of a debate or a question. But if you could only collect one type of album, would it be a greatest hits collections from various like greatest hits, or would it be live albums?
Oh, live for sure.
Because they're, typically a live album will play the hits.
Many of the hits, sure.
Many of them. But if you can only collect from whatever artist, as many artists as you want, but you could only do, and Peanut Gallery, chime in on this, like, is it going to be a greatest hits collection on your shelves, or is it going to be live albums on your shelves?
I'm going to go with hits.
I was gonna say something to consider too would be there's only I don't know, but I'm guessing that there's only so many live albums that actually sound good, right? Like if you actually care on an audiophile-ish type level or the
Yeah.
sound quality, there's a lot of crappy live albums out there. And the reason I think that's relevant is only because if that's all you have and the music sounds like garbage, you're gonna get like listener fatigue and you're not gonna want to listen to your music anymore. At least with your greatest
Yeah.
hits, you know.
That's the thing with like, okay, so like an artist who I don't really care for. I mean, I like a few things is Zach Brown from the Zach Brown Band. Some of his early stuff, I mean, he obviously a big influence for him was Jimmy Buffett. So like he's got kind of that sound, that Jimmy Buffett laid back sound. But listening to Zach Brown Band live is like it's hard. It's very hard for me because like his voice, it's almost like he can never hear himself in his ear bud. And it always throws things off for me. So like there are artists like that where like it sounds good live. Like for example, like the Beatles. You hear the Beatles live stuff, like the Hollywood Bowl or any of that stuff. It's not the Beatles' fault. It's just because they couldn't hear themselves, and they were playing through PA systems.
Yeah.
So if I could only collect one or the other, like I would want like the Beatles one or any of those records.
You make a good point because the quality of the recording is one thing. There's also some bands that are awesome in the studio, not so great live. And even bands that are great live, often they take some liberties with how they perform it live. And if it was either or, sometimes you want to be like, I want to hear that song the way it was recorded, not the way that you feel like playing it now 30 years after. So it's a good dilemma, to be quite honest. You make a good point.
Yeah.
Case in point. So I think about, as I mentioned earlier, I'm on a huge Springsteen kick. My favorite Springsteen song of all time is Open All Night. And I've seen several live versions of it from the recent tour, dramatically different than how it's done on the record. I don't like how he does it live at all.
Yeah.
Oh, in that case, I would want to, I mean, it's never going to make a greatest hits, but that's just an example that popped into my head. Maybe the live version isn't the way to go. Tough call.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you get guys, I mean, we'll take two. We'll take an American and Canadian. We have Neil Young and Bob Dylan, two artists who are very famous for changing things up live. And if I want to hear, Bob do Like a Rolling Stone, my first pick is probably going to be the recorded version from Highway 61, even though there are some great live versions, some different arrangements. However, then you get somebody like Neil Young. One of my favorite versions of Rockin' in the Free World is his unplugged version of that song, which is live. So it's hard to judge, but as a rule, I would probably go greatest hits. I mean, somebody mentioned Steve Miller Band, the Beatles, the Eagles, groups like that, where, I want to hear the studio version first. But then you have, like the Deadheads, who their studio stuff is just like a canvas to put songs so that they could then take them live and take them to the stratosphere. So it depends on what you like.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Yeah. So, let's see. How often do you both listen to greatest hits? Like,
never.
Do you listen to them
hardly ever. I don't even. I actually I asked the question, but at the same time, I would avoid buying greatest hits albums. Like I want to know what they wanted, what the artist intended in the studio. And I think we've talked about this before. There are good live album or good greatest hit comps out there. And some of the ones that are heralded as, being extra special are the ones that the artist or their estate had a lot of say in. Like, no, we want it this way. And have a really good rundown of the career in a way that the artist says it's good, right? But so I don't know. Long answer to a short question. Like I would probably avoid buying greatest hits albums but if they're there, they're cheap. I'll grab
right.
them.
As I sort of sitting here, and I'm just kind of scanning my record collection. Almost, I would say 95% of my greatest hits albums, and I don't have a ton, are all by bands that I'm a completist for. So I only bought it because I have everything that they've put out. There's very few where I don't have much by them, but I have the greatest hits. Maybe one or two instances, but almost all my greatest hits are just because I have Beatles 1 because I have everything the Beatles put out. Yeah. Or
The red and blue. Yeah.
Red and Blue. Yeah, exactly. Or U2's Best of Volume 1 and 2 because of everything that U2 put out.
But here's another thing. I mean, we have a couple because I was like, so Springsteen just released a Best of Bruce Springsteen. He releases one about every 2 years, and this one goes all the way up to the Letter to You record with the E Street Band. So like you have that. I think you have an album from Western Stars is on there, but it's still, I think it's just like a single record. I think it's still like 12 or 13 tracks, but they obviously took out a couple of songs that could be bigger hits. And obviously, they're trying to push those last couple of albums that I guess he can make some sales on those as well. But see, like, I'm not necessarily a completist because Petty put out a record a few years ago after he died called "The Best of Everything," which is it's a title from the song from Southern Accents, one of his records. But his estate did it, and then they attached like an alternate version of a Tom Petty song, and then like that was unheard, and then they posted like an unreleased tune. So it's out there, and it's like, on CD it's like a $20 thing. I'm like, do I really want to spend $20 so I have this one song when I could listen to this whenever? And it's like it was an okay song. It wasn't like one that like blew my mind. But again, like Springsteen, the Stones are a great example. I mean, they put out a greatest hits every year in addition to like a live album with the same set list.
Yeah.
So that would be a tough one. That would be a very expensive undertaking to collect all their stuff.
I just wanted to mention this point. I'm looking for that Tom Cochrane and Red Rider Symphony Sessions. I've never seen it. I'm a huge Tom Cochrane fan. Would love to find that. I would imagine that Procol Harum album was great. They had that.
I bet.
They had that one massive radio hit off of that album, and I can't remember what the hell it was. I used to hear it on the radio all the time when I was a kid.
Whiter Shade of Pale? Like that is their big hit, Whiter Shade.
Yeah,
of Pale,
but no, there's one live from that.
Oh, a live one. Yeah, I don't know.
I
have 2 of their albums, and I was so surprised how ignorant I was to how great that band is.
I'll take a look later. I can't remember what the big hit off of there was, but anyway, I hope I sometime find that Red Rider and the Symphony Sessions, because that greatest hits are a good entry point, but I mean, I come back to my Springsteen example. I don't have his greatest hits digitally or physically, either the original one or the one that just came out. And I don't think I want it because, at least for this endeavor, I don't want to be tainted to know, because there are the hits that and then there's kind of like the hits that, aren't, maybe they're still hits, but they're not hits the people that are just kind of casual listeners. So I just want to dive into the albums. So some folks maybe they are. Like I said, I'm not a huge greatest hits guy. I like this point here. It is annoying when they put songs exclusively on greatest hits like Mary Jane's Last Dance and Chili Pepper's Soul to Squeeze. Yes, agreed. I love Mary Jane's Last Dance. Love it.
You know who else did that? Canadian content for you, Rob? Not that you care, but the Tragically Hip,
Canadians,
which I know you're not a fan of, but they had that red album called Your Favorites, and there was a song on that called No Threat, and that was like my favorite track on this greatest hits comp. And I think that's just on the comp, and that's it.
Well, that was the funny thing about Mary Jane's Last Dance, because that was a huge topic of contention with the Heartbreakers, because Petty was recording Wildflowers, and he was doing that as a solo record, and then the record company's like, hey, we need this greatest hits, and by the way, we need 2 extra tracks on here, which Petty thought was just stupid. And so he had to get back with the Heartbreakers, because again, Wildflowers was solo, so he had to get Stan Lynch, the drummer, who he was having some times with. And the last 2 songs that they recorded were Something in the Air, the Thunderclap Newman cover, and then they did Mary Jane's Last Dance, which, thankfully that actually became a hit, so it fits perfectly on the greatest hits now. But Petty's like, why am I going to give up this song that, I could have put on Wildflowers and put it on this greatest hits? He's like, I'm competing with myself, and I'm going to lose money on the thing.
Thank you, Dan Martin and Music Sanctuary. Conquistador. That was the monster hit off that Procol Harum Edmonton Symphony song. Yeah, that got played all the time on the radio when I was a kid. What a damn good song. Fantastic. Where are we here? We're Steve Miller Band, King Biscuit Live is a must. I don't mind Steve Miller. I haven't heard that one though. Front row for Uncle Neil, May 20th. No shit.
Wow.
Front
He has,
row where? Where's he playing May 20th?
His set list the other night was really good, very 70s heavy. He opened with, I think he opened with like Cinnamon Girl and Cortez. Like, yeah. Because he has Willie Nelson's son is in Crazy Horse now.
Really?
I'm gonna give this one a star, Trevor. Greatest hits are for little girls and housewives.
Kids
That's
and all.
fantastic.
Wow.
Greatest hits are for bands that don't have solid albums. For me, it's the Foo Fighters.
That's a pretty good point, actually, to look at it that way. Yeah. Like if there's not an album that you want to listen to start to finish,
Well, it's like
but there's a couple songs on it.
Like I'm happy. I mean, I have the Hollies greatest hits, which I know is a really famous one. And I have like Buffalo Springfield as well. Although I hear that I need all three Buffalo Springfield records. But anyway,
Vaginal. I didn't know you were in the Toronto area.
I know that was our secret way, Vaginal, to narrow down where you're at.
I'm near Toronto. I mean, I work in Toronto, so I'm close by. I didn't know that. Cool.
Sniff them out there, Rob.
What's that?
Nothing. Sniff out, find out
where is everybody? Can't know where I am, but I'm going to sniff out where you are, everybody. I was too young for the Procol Harum concert. My brothers went, no kidding, but he did go to the Cochrane shows. Wow. Cool. That's a guy I want to see live someday is Tom Cochrane.
Mm.
Can Neil still sing these tunes? And Vaginal says, we'll find out.
No, he definitely, there are clips online. I saw him doing Heart of Gold. Yeah, he's doing great.
All right, so Vaginal is just going to ask my favorite question.
What's happening?
How about them Blue Jays?
Are they going to suck or what?
They suck dead donkeys for wooden nickels to use as bus fare and then walk home.
Oh my God. How do you come up with that?
Christ. They got thumped in the series by the Dodgers. Now in Toronto. Now they're playing Kansas City in Toronto. Kansas City's kicking the shit out of them. We're now 15 wins and 17 losses, which does not fly in the AL East, which is one of the toughest divisions in baseball. We still have no offense. If I were in charge, I would trade Guerrero tomorrow, at the very least, bench him. I'm so sick of watching that overpaid hot shot not bother to run to first base. He's a guaranteed out. Clearly, you can't hit home runs anymore, so learn how to play baseball or sit your fucking ass on the bench. Pardon my language, but I get fired up when I'm talking about baseball.
I love it.
We've had some pitching injuries, so our pitching was solid. Now it's questionable. Our offense sucks. Our management's even worse. Our manager doesn't know when to leave a pitcher in and when to pull a pitcher. Yes, third year with great pitching and no offense. Yeah, absolutely, because Ross Atkins, our general manager, manages a baseball team about as well as I speak German, and that's not at all. He does nothing in the offseason except bring in Justin Turner, which has been a great addition to the team, but has not provided any other offense, and then wonders why we're not hitting. Well, no shit, dumbass. You did nothing in the offseason. Just absolutely took the words right out of my mouth. Embarrassing. Are we doing better than the Rockies? I have no idea. Bring back the Expos? I would love that. Sorry to get off on a rant on baseball, but when someone asks me the question,
you're passionate.
Varsho trade, the beginning of the end. I don't know about that, actually, because, he did squat last year, but he's been stellar in the outfield this year, and his bat has come around. So, maybe. I don't know. Jano hit a home run again today, which was fantastic. Good to see. I love Jansen when he's not hurt. So, I think surprisingly, the Leafs pulled it out last night. I'm a Habs fan, so I couldn't give a shit about the Leafs, but I empathize for Leafs fans because, Best album with songs about baseball, Centerfield by John Fogerty.
I was just going to say it's the only one I know.
You could go Mrs. Robinson. They mentioned Joe DiMaggio.
True. I can't watch Kirk anymore. Yeah, and for all the talk about him being a great catcher, he can't throw. If you're a catcher and you can't throw someone at second base, you're not a great catcher. The only reason he stops a ball is because he's fat, and I could say that as a relatively fat guy. He doesn't hit anymore. He can't run. I was just going to the kitchen when I heard how the Jays are doing so far. Well, Dan, you guys set me off. I love this team more than I love music, I think. And it's painful to watch a team be mismanaged by a front office that doesn't give a shit. The only good thing I could say about Atkins and Shapiro is they're responsible for getting Rogers to commit to revitalizing our stadium for the next 30 years. And by all accounts, the dome looks absolutely fantastic. So I'd fire those two jackasses, and then I'd fire Schneider. I'd make Don Mattingly our manager. I'd trade just about everybody on the team, and let's start a rebuild. Moreno is given away for too little. Absolutely.
You need to start a podcast or another channel just for your sports commentary.
I don't know enough about sports. I'm a two-trick pony. I know a ton about the Blue Jays, and I know a ton about Formula One. Other than that, I don't know squat about sports. Anyway, let's talk about vaginal. I agree.
Okay. Here's one.
Music.
I think I asked Sam this not that long ago.
Yes.
It's a bit of a variation, Sam, on the question, but you'll remember it. Okay, you can only own one of the two following collections. Every first release from every artist or band from one decade of music. That's the difference, Sam. Or you could own everything from any artist or band in history, like including all promotional material. So the Beatles are a great example. All the widgets and weird crap, including every album, every pressing that you wanted. You could have everything Beatles. Or, for example, you could say, I want the first album from every artist from the 1970s or the 60s. What would you choose?
So if you pick the one artist, that means you can't have any other music by anybody else?
All you have is a collection of everything that person has done. So the value could be crazy if it was like the Beatles, for example, right? If you cared about value, like that's a factor you have to figure out.
So
or you get just one album. Like let's say you're a massive Zeppelin fan, but you don't even like the first album, but that's all you get is just the first album if you choose like that particular decade, right?
I don't like this question.
I know it's supposed to be hard.
Is that stuff that you own, or is that stuff that you can just listen to? Like, is that your collection? Like, that's all
you get it. That's in your house. This is all that's in your house for vinyl is everything from a decade, but only the first album from any of those artists, like any genre too. Like not just
music, but the other music still exists. You just don't own it.
Correct.
Here's my answer, and I found a loophole in your question.
Yeah, go for it. There's probably a bunch.
I will take everything Beatles, which you said includes all of the weird shit and promotional shit and whatever.
You the best butcher cover ever.
Great, because I'd like one nicer than the one that I had.
Yeah.
However, I would take all that Beatles shit. I got it all, right? So I got all the stuff. There's even a few that I don't have that are like super rare, like the Beatles versus the Four Seasons. Incredibly rare. I've never even seen one. I would take that, and then I'd sell it. And then I buy a music collection. That's the loophole.
That was predictable, but that's okay. That's all right.
Sorry.
That's all right. Sam, what are you going to choose?
I'm going first from a decade, just because it's unlimited and I get in moods. I mean, like I haven't listened to hardly any Tom Petty this year, and I love Tom Petty, but like I get in moods. Like a year will go by, and I'm like, I just realized I didn't listen to hardly any Tom Petty this year, or I didn't listen to any of this and that. But I like the idea of having variety in my collection. Even if the other music still exists, I like having it here. It can make or break what I listen to in the morning or in the evening, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, Richard, that was a good point, Richard. I thought of that. I was like, well, that's what makes it a tougher question, because a lot of first albums might not be where the band, like the era of the band that you love the most, right? Usually a first, second album is the band finding themselves and what that sound is like, and then they put out their masterpiece. So you could have a whole bunch of crap. But yeah, I would pick first albums for sure. I would go want the variety.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, again, like it covers jazz, that covers, whatever genre you want, right down the line. And that's just endless. I mean, even in a decade, I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of songs to choose from. Whereas, like if I were to take everything that the Bob Dylan or the Beatles ever did, at the end of the day, you're getting repeats of the same stuff, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So, hi Sam.
Jason, what's in the cup? No brews tonight?
I don't have any. I didn't get out to the store. I feel like an idiot.
Although I went out for the stream to get my peebs. Yeah.
What do you buy? A 6-pack, 8-pack? Do they have 2 4s? What do they got?
All they had was a 12 today. They had a 12-pack. Last minute when Alex was here, I think we had the 30 or whatever it was. Which I'm pretty sure we're pretty sure had no alcohol in those cans for whatever reason. Like we drank a lot of them.
The near beer.
No, so I mean I needed. Sorry, this is what you people are going to be getting. I needed other groceries, and so I was like, well, I need some brews for the stream here. Oh gosh.
I hope that's a thigh walking in front of the camera.
Yeah. Some flesh to touch, as what somebody once said.
Mm-hmm. Dan, beer and vinyl. Alex is at a concert right now. Dan's asking.
Yeah. Yeah, he's there now.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
Cool. Oh, not much.
We're talking about my grocery list.
Yeah.
Cereal and frozen pizza.
No cereal, no frozen pizza.
Huh.
I try to stay healthy when I can, Rob.
Oh, well.
It's very boring.
Let's see.
Story of the Who.
That's on my list of things to get. That's a greatest hits. That was like their first. That was their first one, right? Like it came out when they were still at their peak.
Where's the beers and vinyls guy? We don't know.
But yeah, we don't even know his name anymore.
No idea. A 30-pack PBR. She must still like me.
So she spent a whopping $28 on you, Trevor. Yeah.
PBR, the unofficial official beer of the vinyl community.
I saw Gary was drinking one the other night from Physical Format.
I wonder if the folks at PBR realize how much airtime they're getting on YouTube here.
Someone must have told someone. Someone knows someone that fed it up the line. Where's our free swag?
Well, it had to be Alex because I mean it was hoop tea for so long. Then he just made the hard boom PBR.
Yeah, they pissed him off. They don't understand the social media sway that Alex has.
Yeah.
What's next on your question list, Jay? These are good, man. It's nice. I didn't have to do any work tonight.
What's that Music Sanctuary saying there? Is NXS debut album is by far their best. Oh, that's another band. It's embarrassing. I don't know beyond their hits. I was going to
I suggested offline to the fellas tonight that I've been watching the Bon Jovi documentary on Hulu, which is fantastic, by the way. I don't know if Sam agrees. Yeah. So I said, let's talk about music, 80s music tonight. And Jay's like, I don't know anything about 80s music.
I don't know any 80s music.
Shame on you. You're of that age, though, man.
No, I only started listening in the 90s. I came
around. So did I. You're 2 years younger than me, right? You're 45, 3?
Yeah.
43? Okay, so you're born in 81, right?
80.
80? Okay. I was 78.
Social security number is no.
Yeah.
We don't have social security in Canada. It's called the social insurance
number. Yes.
Do you have yours memorized?
I do.
So do I. Yeah. I don't even know where the fucking card is in my brain. But you're a child of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, when I started listening to music, I glommed onto like old music, like The Doors, and then some other stuff, and then I got into grunge, and then from there, I missed the whole decade.
You just skipped the 80s.
I skipped the 80s, and I still.
I was doing Beatles and 90s alternative, and then somehow fell into the 80s, and it's fucking great.
Okay, here we go. Let's say, okay, here. You could exchange collections with one person. Who would that person be? The trade is permanent. The smaller collection, like so if Rob, you had 1,000 and I had 500, then I can't get all your 1,000. I only get 500 of it.
Oh,
So the smaller collector can only gain the same number they had from a larger collection, but you can choose those. So
I
who
mean, are
is
we
that
talking
person?
among the three of us or the violent
I'm
community at
thinking
large?
the VC, like people that we know that have collections.
I mean, Mazzy's got
Who's
the best collection there is, I think.
well, you only get however many of Mazzy's collection too, right? You can choose, and it's probably going to be amazing. But
I actually
who?
wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to trade collections because I'm quite happy with mine.
Well, that's no fun. Answer the question.
That's right, Rob.
You have to get
All
rid of
right.
your collection.
Then I'm going to trade with Andrew over at Parlogram in Austria because he has the foremost Beatles collection probably in the world.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. So I'll take some out of his.
Roughly, how many records do you have, Rob?
About 800.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's my thing. Like, we're just talking records, right, Jason? Because like I have because I have a bunch of CDs.
Yeah, I got about 500 CDs too, but I don't listen to them.
Yeah,
you can have them.
I'll tell you who has a large, diverse collection. For me, that I would like would be Harry from Harry's Music Room, because he's an Americana guy. He's a big Springsteen guy, but he also loves Dylan. He loves the Monkees. He loves huge Beatles fan. I might go with Harry because I mean he also sets up booths too at record shows. And I think that I could, because I mean I only have my records. I have about 5 little cubes filled with records in my little kind of, it's not IKEA, but like IKEA like container that so many of us have. So I feel like I could get like a really solid baseline collection from Harry.
You know what we need to see? We need Jason to do a room tour one of these days because no one has seen Jason's collection.
Yes, I actually don't have records.
We've seen Sam has shown his before, but Jason's, we don't know if it exists.
It's just my living room, and it's going through a lot of changes.
Like look, my records are right there. Like those are my records. And you can see, Rob, I've got a little Stormtrooper Nutcracker over there on one side of the TV.
That. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So
I got a Darth Vader helmet on my desk.
Vader, hold it over. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's sitting on my desk right beside my Indiana Jones Lego.
It's like the movie Seven. You open the helmet and James Earl Jones's head is inside of the helmet.
right beside my Indiana Jones Lego.
The only Lego I have is a Seinfeld apartment set.
I have a lot of Lego in here.
In my CD, but
I have, going off on a side note, I have the giant UCS Lego Millennium Falcon, the big $1,000 one. And my son dropped something on it the other day. And now I have to rebuild it.
I bet you he was scared.
I did not lose. I was just like, accidents happen, buddy. It's all right. It's just Lego. I can put it back together. And then later I was like, yeah.
Jason, who are you swapping with?
Well, I feel like Mazzy's the easy out, but I really like the stuff that he has, right? He's got a lot of, psychedelic, San Francisco sort of things. And, he's got such a variety. Again, I would only get right now I'm probably around 375 and going, but I would only get so much. Robert Fithin's another guy that every video I watch, he's always showing something that I would be interested.
Your taste melded really well with Chance concert.
I was going to say, so Chance is another one because he's really into like the 90s grunge albums, right? So he's probably got a lot of that good stuff too. So, but when you said Harry and Americana, then I started wondering about Americana type artists and who collects that stuff the most. But I don't know, that's a tough one. It's such a fun idea to think about though, like, because everyone always wants to know what everyone else has. Obviously, if someone's on Discogs, you can figure that out. But yeah, I don't know. Mazzy would probably be the easiest out on that one. And someone, I think Richard in the comments there said Mike Esposito from the In Groove. every one of his records would be like the most perfect shape ever. Because
The other collection that impresses the hell out of me is Melinda Murphy.
Oh yeah, yeah. She does have a lot of high priced,
Yep.
golden good stuff, right?
I want her Taylor Swift record store day colored vinyl variants.
Oh, did she score something pretty rare? Or?
Yeah.
How did I just realize, Jason, your name up there? You.
Yeah. That's for you. Yeah, it's for
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jason, who is your go-to? And then we're giving stuff. We're giving shout outs to other YouTube channels, which is fine. That's what you're supposed to do. But who is your go-to blues guy? 'Cause, I mean, you're a big blues man. Like who do you watch for blues info?
Well, there actually is a Canadian guy called Blues Vinyl Guy.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen his whole catalog, but whenever he does a video and I catch it, it's I leave watching that video feeling like an idiot because I don't know a quarter of what this guy does know.
Yeah.
But he's passionate. That's his thing, right? So the Blues Guy Vinyl YouTube channel, check it out. Like the guy has got encyclopedic knowledge with respect to that. Glenn obviously knows a lot about blues too, right? So anytime Glenn talks blues, I'm listening pretty close. Yeah.
Vaginal. To answer your question, you asked about Dylan or Prine. I'm picking Dylan. Dylan to me is oh gosh. You look like a fly.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
You gotta leave it on the
Vader.
Leave your bedroom toys out of this, Rob.
I wear that on special occasions for the missus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry on, Sam. Didn't mean to distract you there.
I don't know what to say.
That's a good question for Sam, though. But I'm you chose Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan. John Prine definitely he influenced me more than Dylan in terms of like guitar playing and songwriting. But Dylan is my guy. To me, it's the Beatles. You have the Beatles and Tom Petty are my two bands, and then Dylan is number one amongst the songwriters. It's like Dylan, Van Morrison, Prine in some rotating order. So, yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. That's a solid question because we do. My friend Tommy, when I visit him, he has one of my prized possessions down there. He has the Beach Boys Smile box set. Is that one that you have, Rob? The one that came out on vinyl?
Which one's that?
The Beach Boys Smile.
No, I don't have that. It's on my list though. At some point.
Yeah, Tommy has that one, which I would love to have. He has all the Monkey stuff and stereo and mono, almost all of it. He has the Pet Sound sessions. He has Brian Wilson's Smile on vinyl, I believe. Just all that great stuff that's so hard to get for the Beach Boys, Monkeys, Brian Wilson. I would love to have it.
John, shame on you for not thinking I already have an extensive lightsaber collection. Because I do.
Wow.
But all right, what do you do y'all have anything pull that you've been listening to? Here you go, Rob. Yeah.
I had this on last week. This is one of the Noble Records exclusives. I've had it for a little while now. I probably showed it before, but the beautiful, beautiful blue wax is something special, though. Right in those vinyl storage solution sleeves. But
for those that want to buy those, if you go to vinylstoragesolutions.ca and use promo code Northern10, you get 10% off your order.
You know what I just bought, Rob? I just bought the inner sleeves without the print on them. Four records like this where you can just get a better visual, I guess. Whatever. They're on sale. They're on sale. They're on that really big sale, the bigger sale than your 10% one.
Son of a bitch. You'd rather save more money than you wait and pay more money and give me a commission. Fuck you.
Oh my God. So anyway, this is a great album. This is like 70s rock. It's like late 70s, but for the most part, it's got an early 70s vibe to it. It's funny. This is an album that's got a bunch of instrumental tracks that I think are better than the tracks that have lyrics. The tracks that have lyrics it comes across, and I'll get shot in the head by almost all the VC for saying this, but like I'm not a Steely Dan fan, and I find that there's a Steely Dan vibe to some of these, which to me is more of like, you know, almost like a 70s lounge rock kind of thing. For the most part, the album's awesome though. Sam, what are you spinning?
Well, I just have to give a shout out to my boy Dan down there in the comments with that great that great statement. Maybe that was a mute moment, Dan. That's pretty good to do to me. Yeah, what do y'all think of this little? Yeah, I'm almost 30. I'm 2 weeks from being 30 years old, and I can't grow a mustache. Oh gosh! Stop wiggling that laser on the screen there.
I got as many toys in here as I do records. So what can I say?
Oh my god!
Yeah, most of them are Star Wars related.
That's true.
This is one and I'll talk about this when we kind of go around the horn talking about things that we're up to. But this is a record that's really, really cool. I was fortunate. I got it a week early. I think because I pre-ordered it and she just sent these out early. This is an album called Drive and Cry by Emily Nenny. And I don't talk a lot about female artists, and it's funny. A couple of my top 3 albums for 2024 are by female artists, and this is going to be one of them for sure. I'm gonna pull a Rob here and say, notice the signature on the vinyl there. But I saw her open for Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs back in November. It was just her and her guitarist, who's also her boyfriend or partner or whatever. But it's very much like a honky tonk kind of record. I mean, she pulls lyrics very similar like Loretta Lynn that are more from the woman's perspective on life and the relationship and everything. It's really interesting to listen to. It's on New West Records, which I really, really love New West. One of my favorite bands, the Wild Feathers, are on here. Steve Earle is on New West Records. Rodney Crowell, I want to say maybe Los Lobos even put out a record or 2 on New West. My boy Pokey Lafarge is on New West. And again, that was the pre-order. It technically comes out Friday, the 3rd. It comes on this very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pink vinyl here with the custom label. And she's just got this really great twangy kind of voice. Again, she kind of cut her teeth in the honky tonks in Nashville. And just is a really, really great. It's just a really great kind of refreshing sound in the world of like bro country and like all that stuff that's all over the radio. And that's the unfortunate thing is that she'll never be a Carrie Underwood or anybody like that. So if y'all like straight ahead honky tonk kind of 1950s and 60s country, check her out. She's very, very good. So
that's a very cool looking record. I like that.
I think you would like this actually, like the music itself.
I probably would, because it reminds me there's an artist I like, Lindy Ortega. You might want to check her out. The same kind of thing, like honky tonk sort of 50s, 60s country, but she was recorded like 8 years ago, and it's phenomenal. She's got about 6 albums. You
need this. I didn't realize it was going to be like on this foil kind of cover.
That's cool looking. I like that.
You can see, and it's got all the lyrics are in the inner sleeve and everything. She does one cover on the record called Amarillo Highway, but everything else is original to her. I think it's her 3rd record, and she's probably about my age, 30, 31. So
check that out.
You'll really like this. It's called Drive and Cry, and even Jason, you can spank this one out too, and then give it a few listens. Yeah, Drive and Cry, Emily Nenny or Nini or Penne or
You'd like this, Sam. Lindy Ortega, Cigarettes and Truck Stops was her second album. I think it's her best one. Exactly the same kind of stuff.
I'm writing it down.
Awesome. Produced by Colin Linden, if you know who that is.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Recorded in she's from Toronto, but recorded in Nashville. It's that same honky tonk 50s. I love it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So again, yeah. I mean, you need if you like that kind of stuff, you need this one. You really do.
It's weird. I'm not a big country guy. Like if I have 12 country records, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But I really like Lindy Ortega, and that's what's hold that up again one more time.
The album's called Drive and Cry. Emily Nenny, N-E-N-N-I. And I think she has 2 other records. I don't know those records.
Okay.
Again, I saw her with Mike Campbell back in November, and
I want to get that. That's a cool looking record. I mean, the vinyl is cool, but
actually, if you want this version, you have until Friday to order it, because this is the pre-order.
Okay.
So, and you should be able to get it signed still at this point. And again, it's on the cool kind of pink clear vinyl. And I mean, you can get, it's less than $30. It's $25, $26. And it came with a signature. So it's on New West Records. But yeah, you should definitely listen to it, or at least sample it.
I'm looking at it. She's not hard on the eyes. I'm looking it up right now.
No, she's very cute. And yeah, the first track is called "Get to Know Ya," which is really, really fun. It's a cool little music video too. Just a very genuine kind of person. She obviously, again, pulls from Loretta Lynn and Dolly quite a bit. But her boyfriend is he's a goober, but he's in the band. It's one of those kind of moments where you're like, how did he get so lucky kind of thing. But
it doesn't sound like it's on that cool metallic-y sort of.
It doesn't show that way online.
Yeah, it just shows like a normal.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. So that's what this is.
That's the one, eh?
So,
okay.
No, I mean, listen to a song or two tonight and see what you think. Yeah, but again, it comes out Friday. But she sent out all of the pre-orders this week.
I'm intrigued.
Anyway, what are you spending, Rob?
Well, I mean, I've spent a good portion of the last week digesting Tortured Poets Department. One other beef about that, and I won't talk about Taylor Long because no one gives a shit. 16 songs on the LP, and then she releases another 15 songs digitally and says it's a double album. And that ticks me. Like, listen, I'm grateful for the additional songs, just 32 songs in total. It's a little much, but whatever. Thankful for it. I have the 32 digital version. But if you're going to do that, you got to make the other half available in physical form too. Right? Like, if you're going to do 1 or 2 bonus songs, fine. But if you're taking the single and making it a double, you got to make that available.
I bet we'll see it Black Friday.
I hope so. And
I bet because we didn't have any. I mean, that she didn't put out anything, last week or 2 weeks ago now. But
so I've been digesting not just the vinyl, but the entire 32 tracks. But this is nothing earth-shattering. But I mentioned I've been watching the Bon Jovi documentary on Hulu, which is awesome. I only have 2 Bon Jovi records, which is sad. I have Slippery When Wet, and I have the OG press of Crush. I've been listening to the shit out of these. I've been listening to the shit out of the Greatest Hits and a couple of the other albums, New Jersey. So I'm on holidays next week, and I said to the wife, we're going record shopping because I got a whole back catalog of Bon Jovi that I got to find. So
is that hard wax to track down, or did he have a proliferation of that? Like
this one was on my. I don't think I'm ever going to own it because they've repressed this since, but this is an OG, and these were like $250, and I got a stupid deal on this. But I think all the others are. I mean, if you want the Slippery When Wet with the band cover, those are kind of hard to find. It's a girl in a wet shirt. And it's pink.
That's
whatever.
I think that's the cover. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So they recalled it. They put it out in Japan. That's hard to find, but I don't think the other stuff, I don't think New Jersey's hard to find. I don't know. I mean, that stuff came out in the 80s, so I got to think that it's got to be around. So I'm hoping to find some of the earlier stuff, but I've been spinning a lot of that, and I've been listening to a lot of Springsteen. That's great. I'm just enjoying the shit out of that. And the one today, because I was working from home today, Born in the USA. I mean, it's fantastic. It's I still like Nebraska the best. And then I think I like the Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. and then Darkness on the Edge of Town, and then Born to Run, and then The River. And then I don't have much more beyond that. I've got Wrecking Ball digitally. So
that's pretty good, though. You got a lot for just diving in like that, eh? Good for you.
yeah, I mean, it's only been the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Now, I've had Born to Run forever. Like, it's one of those, I found it like
It's
5
everywhere.
years ago for like $5, and it doesn't even look like it's been played. So I'm like, shit, I know. Or the hits on there. I'm like, I know Born in the USA, and I know I'm on Fire, and I know Glory Days and Dancing in the Dark. I'll pick this up for $5. And then I never listened to it forever. And then it's just been in the last 6 weeks. So, yeah, it's been a lot of Bruce. And I've been watching a little because he's on tour right now. So I've been watching a lot of the people have been posting entire concerts. Like they posted the entire Columbus show. Someone put that up there. And it's been cool to see that. So I'm thinking I'm going to see because he's coming to Toronto in November. The only tickets that are left are the VIP tickets, and they're $1,000. I'm like, nope, that's not happening.
Wow.
So I'm like,
Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
curious what a lesser venue is. So the smallest venue he plays in Canada is Winnipeg. I'm not going to Winnipeg because it's in the middle of nowhere. The only place more remote is where you live, Jason. So
Yep.
I'm not going. I mean, I've been to Winnipeg, and once
I got a question to trail off of that, but check the
All right.
comments first because people were talking about Pearl Jam, and I want to chime
Okay.
in on it.
So
And actually, there was a really good comment for
I
Sam
checked
there,
tickets for Springsteen in Winnipeg, and they're $328. And I'm going, oh man, as much as I would love to see him, not happening.
I know
All right.
I know we kind of veered from it for a second. I'll jump back into it real quick. And you can check the comments. So for me, for that Bon Jovi documentary, and Jason, if you can, you should watch it. It's on Hulu and Disney because Disney and Hulu merged together. So if you have one or the other,
Yep.
I am not a Bon Jovi fan at all, like at all. But I love a good music documentary, and I thought it was fantastic because you get this new stuff with Richie Sambora, who left Bon Jovi in 2013. Bruce Springsteen's all over it. Southside Johnny is on it from the Asbury Dukes. And I mean, all these characters from the Bon Jovi camp, managers and, former members and all that good stuff. And it's really well done. And I mean, Bon Jovi, I mean, he's definitely a diva. Like I've kind of gathered that. But you
He
do
doesn't
feel
come across like that at all to me.
You don't think?
No.
I think he would get on my nerves after a few minutes, but
I don't think so. I really like him. He seems like a pretty down to earth dude.
He's definitely down to earth. I mean, because he's done a lot of charity work and everything.
Yeah.
I know he worked a lot with like Habitat.
He has a
for
soup
humanity.
kitchen that he runs in a
Yeah,
restaurant.
yeah.
He goes in there and cooks just because.
But I mean, that dude's a workaholic. And I do
Yeah.
respect because he said he never fell into like the drug and drinking culture because he was so worried about his voice getting screwed up.
And ultimately, his voice did get screwed up anyway.
It wasn't his fault. It was just something that happened.
But that's what I liked about the documentary because it's talking about his struggles before his vocal surgery, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Interspersed with the history of the band, and the two stories weave together.
It's a great story. Yeah, it's a great story. Just it's 4 episodes, but it leaves you on cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Because like the first episode, I mean, I won't give anything away. Like the first episode ends with the first talk with Richie Sambora.
Yeah.
And then you have him.
Richie sits down and he goes, "So are we going to tell the truth here?"
Yeah, or we're gonna lie. Yeah,
right. And he does, and it's well done. I haven't finished it yet. I'm 2/3 of the way through, but I keep watching it, and I see the footage of Bon Jovi today. I prefer, and this is controversial, I prefer Bon Jovi today with Phil X because I think Phil X is yes, Richie co-wrote many of the songs. Phil X is a vastly superior guitar player. But I keep watching that and go, man, if only my dad was still alive, because he knew Phil. And I'm like, man, I would have milked the shit out of that connection. Because Phil X is from Toronto. So my dad knew him fairly well and hung out with him on many occasions. And it's like, man, at that time he was playing with Triumph. Do you remember Triumph?
Yep.
Yeah. Phil was the guitar player for Triumph back in the day. So anyway, comments. There was something about Pearl Jam. I just saw Pearl Jam here. I got the Pearl Jam RSD Dark Matter and like it sounds a bit compressed, but other than that, It sounds okay. So what's your take on Pearl Jam? Jay?
Well, I'm glad someone else is saying that, because I believe I saw Chance and maybe Vance or someone else talking about the new vinyl pressing sounds like garbage. So that's good. It's a consistent vibe, which is fine. I've been streaming the hell out of it. Like I haven't listened to one of their new releases as much as I have for this one. It's very much becoming one of my favorites. I think it's a fantastic album. I didn't know that about Avocado. I don't own that yet, but that sucks.
John, Maggie Rose is on my list to check out, believe it or not. I
Maggie
saw
Rose.
I saw the first single and it blew me away.
What else is there?
Apparently Music Sanctuary has lucked out. No warps or skips, so that's good.
Did you get the Hackney Diamonds live Rolling Stones?
No, I'm not a Stones fan, so.
Oh, that's right.
I have like 3 or 4 Stones records just because they were given to me and I kept them, but I don't, it's just, I like some of the early stuff, but I've never once in my life said, I want to sit down and listen to the Rolling Stones. I think what ruined the Stones for me is, how do I put this? I was married once earlier in life, in my early 20s, call it a youthful mistake, because she's batshit crazy. And she listened to the Stones all the time. And I'm like, if I never hear another Rolling Stones song ever again, that's fine.
I get that.
It's because of that.
Makes sense.
Let's see here. Where was I? Richard's copy of Avocado plays well, luckily. I wondered why the hell that album was an RSD release. Not right ripping people off. I think RSD is getting to be a little bit of that. I think. Not saying all of it.
That's a whole discussion on its own. Yeah.
Yes.
The Beatles record player. There are a few more copies that they sold online.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Why would you pay that kind of money? You're buying a little Crosley. No thanks. I'm good.
Dan, I have not heard that cover.
I love that song, Sam?
Circling back to the Beatles for a second, Sam. Do you care that the original Let It Be movie is being remastered and re-released? I couldn't give a shit. I didn't even like the Peter Jackson one. So.
Oh, so we'll see. I loved Get Back. I loved it. But actually, because after I finished the Bon Jovi thing, I'm like, I want to watch another music documentary. I was thinking about watching Get Back the 4th time. No, I mean,
I didn't even make it through once.
See, I love it. I think it's fantastic.
It's way too much documentation about one of their weakest albums. So whatever. But you know what? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. So mine probably stinks. And I mean the opinion, not the asshole. So the RSD Pearl Jam is about $10 more than the black vinyl version. Pointless and unnecessary. Here's a good question. Would you pay more for a colored variant just because it's a colored variant, or do you guys care?
No, but I did pay for the fan club version, which I don't know if that's more expensive or not, but I wouldn't pay more for color, but I might pay for like a fan club exclusive.
Sure.
Well, that's the thing. Back to this record. This pink version was 25, and then the other version was like 22 or something. But you got the color variant and you got the signature.
That's cool
on here. Yeah. So that kind of stuff, yes. And obviously with RSD, you go out there and there's like 1,000 copies of like the Ringo Starr EP that just came out. It's like this black and gray marble variant or whatever. That's cool. Like if I had done Record Store Day and then would have gone out and seen it, I probably would have bought it just because I would have got caught up in the hype. And you can go on eBay now and find it, for $30, $40, $50 more than it was going for. But at the end of the day, it's going to come out here, I think at the end of this month. Actually, they're going to release the Ringo record on CD and black vinyl, and that's when I'll grab it because I buy all the Ringo EPs. But yeah, I will buy the color vinyl version. I do get caught up in that if it's limited and if I think that's a really cool variant. But I don't know.
Music Sanctuary grabbed the Golden Earring RSD, the cut sessions. I haven't heard it, so don't know. Not a huge Golden Earring fan, but if it's on, I'll listen to it. Shockingly, Trevor likes 7,800 Fahrenheit.
Trevor, have you seen the doc? I'm guessing you have, but I didn't even realize it was a thing because like I'm rarely on Disney Plus. I just happened to go on it the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, that's new."
The only reason I heard about it is there was a whole lot of Bon Jovi interviews started popping up in my YouTube homepage. He was on Stern and he was on all the talk shows. I'm like, oh, what's it? And then he's documentary and it's on. I don't get Hulu, so I obtained it by other means. I don't have Disney either, so I have IPTV, so my streamer guy has it. So I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah.
And my wife's been watching it too, and she's not much for watching documentaries. So
I love a good doc.
Yeah, I do too. Well,
but you're a history guy, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Cardboard Head Guy says, Rob, I watched your new video. What's your favorite song from Nebraska? Open All Night. That song, it's such a simple song, but that driving guitar in it is just frig. Not only is that my favorite Nebraska song, out of the 6 or 8 albums I'm into Springsteen's discography, that's my favorite Springsteen song. Period. I could play that song 100 times a day.
I missed it, Rob. What did you say? Which one was your favorite?
Open All Night.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Carry on. I got to go discipline my child because he's freaking out. I'll be right back. And by discipline, I only mean talk sternly.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be another good question. Would be like best music documentaries or something like that. Like I never did finish to Get Back just because I kind of just trailed off but I thought it was super cool. Like, not being as much of a Beatles fan as pretty much everyone else, but to have such a massive band and then this massive flood of unseen footage, like how exciting, right? And
it was fantastic. And the way that they did it was like they would talk about like even like when like you could just hear audio, they would show like clips and like it almost looked like they were talking when they were just taking the audio that they had with no footage that matched up to the audio. I mean, Peter Jackson just did it brilliantly. And that's kind of the whole thing with like the Let It Be movie coming back out. It's like we have the full story now with Peter Jackson. It's like this Let It Be thing is like, for historical purposes, yeah, we have it, but the actual like documentation is Get Back because we see how it all went down. We see the whole like rooftop, go down. So I don't know. Hey, Jason, where you heading there?
Sorry, I'm good. Yeah. What's another? Well, The Last Waltz is pretty spectacular. That's its own kind of beast altogether. Maybe less of a documentary, more of like it's a documentary, but it's not like a historical kind of thing. But Last Waltz is up there for sure.
I mean, I love Rattle and Hum. I mean, some people say that's really boring by U2. I love that documentary.
I never saw that. Is that just like a typical start to finish? Well, start to, like
I mean,
get into the band and all that.
It's obviously, I mean, it's the Joshua Tree tour, so it's and it's in black and white. The whole thing's in black and white, except for like some concert footage. But it shows them going into like to Graceland in Memphis and showing like how Larry was such a huge Elvis guy. Like he's like, wanting to sit on the motorcycle, like Elvis's motorcycle, and some really great concert footage. It shows them playing like in this like warehouse, like them doing a version of Desire in this warehouse. And it just kind of shows them going across the South, going to like the blues spots, seeing these street performers. It shows them doing. I still haven't found what I'm looking for in the church with the gospel choir, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, that's great. There's actually, Richard, I see your comment there. The Rush documentary. That's awesome because that I watched. Maybe it's the one you're referring to. I watched a documentary on Rush, and it completely turned me into like a fan. Because before, and I said this to Rob on a video we recorded a few days ago, how I was never a fan of Rush because it was just kind of what I heard on the radio. I was getting sick of it and growing up, and I just was ignorant, didn't like it. And I watched the documentary. I'm like, damn it, like these guys are awesome. They're like down to earth, ultra friggin' talented musicians, and that kind of totally turned me around on them. But another one, Sam, the speaking of U2, the documentary "It Might Get Loud" with Jack White and Jimmy Page. That was like the pinnacle for me for like watching those guys all do their own little guitar thing. And
So here's a question: If they did a Mike It Loud 2, what 3 guitarists would you want on there?
Oh God, I don't know why I just thought of Mark Knopfler because I think someone mentioned him. In
That'd
the
be
comments.
fantastic.
Mark Knopfler, David Gilmour, and I guess I have to choose someone new. Oh,
Yeah, you gotta have a young guy.
I gotta have a young guy in there.
Mayer. I mean, for me, it would be John Mayer. Would be
That's a good call because he's steeped in blues music history, right? So that's
Yeah.
a great question. Shit, I might want
What's
to
the
rethink
question?
on that. But
So, did you ever see It Might Get Loud, Rob, the documentary
No.
with the Edge, Clapped? I mean, Jimmy Page and Jack White. I was just saying, if they did a part 2, like what 3? So essentially, you take 2 veteran guitarists. Like with It Might Get Loud, you had Jimmy Page from the '70s, you had the Edge from the '80s, and you had Jack White as like the newbie. This was like 2008 or 9, right, Jason?
yeah,
When that movie came out, and so we're saying like these 2 stalwarts in the guitar world, and then get kind of like the next generation guy. Who would you want to like just essentially sitting around campfire style, talking about their tones, their techniques, their influences?
Rob, you got to watch that. You know why? Because at the very end, the way they end that documentary is the 3 of them sitting in this big warehouse studio, and they all play the song "The Weight."
Or wait,
Oh shit! Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
That's
a good question.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that again. I got goosebumps.
I need to watch that again.
Yeah.
Because like the beginning when they showed Jack White, like he's making like that really like rustic. He's like nailing something into like a board, and he makes like this like slide guitar like in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That's crazy. Yeah, I would definitely go Mayer. He would be on there for me. I mean, I think Knopfler would be cool. I would have Knopfler on there before I would have Clapton because like we've seen everything with Clapton, right? Like I mean, all of his stuff is already out there. Knopfler would be like a cool like side guy, and then I mean I would go with Mike Campbell because he would be kind of like he's kind of right there too, more of the rocky, and like Knopfler has like more of like the jazz influence.
Yeah.
Oh
man, that's
okay.
Exciting to think
I got
about.
mine.
Okay.
I would go Waddy Wachtel
in
the '70s.
Yep.
Linda Ronstadt, Stevie Nicks.
Yep.
And then sort of like '80s. This is going to be a weird one. I'm going to go Brad Whitford from Aerosmith.
Wow.
And then of the most recent, I'm going to go Justin Hawkins from The Darkness.
Wow.
Who is actually a very good guitar player. When he's not doing his crazy Darkness stuff, he's a very good guitar player.
Yeah.
That might be interesting.
Oh, JWG, Nino Betancourt. Yeah.
Hold on. I am way behind in comments tonight. What's this? Rob's waiting for the Swiftumentary. Sure. I'd watch her read the newspaper or anything else she wanted to do. The BTO documentary from '76 was great. It shows the band recording in the studio. I didn't know there was one, so that's interesting. Check that out. Here's a good question. Have you watched a doc of an artist or band you didn't know or mildly know and became a fan and started to like them? Well, I think Sam's a Bon Jovi fan now. So.
No, but I like the documentary. Let me see this. Have you watched the documentary artist? I see. Like, I love a good music documentary. It's like I'm not a big fan of David Crosby at all. But I went to go see that documentary that came out a few years ago that he did. I'm not a Bowie guy. I went to go see the Moon Age Daydream documentary, and in theater, both of those I saw in theaters. And I left with an appreciation for their talent, but like I was not like, oh, I need to buy David Bowie or David Crosby solo albums. I was still about where I was, but I got to have that background, which I really liked. Although I will say, not that I never didn't like U2, but again, and Rob, when you were gone, we were talking about Rattle and Hum, the documentary.
I've not actually seen that, believe it or not.
You should. I mean,
I've seen parts of it, but I've not seen it in its entirety.
So you can get that DVD for $5, at Barnes and Noble.
I could probably just download it too. So
yeah, I think it might be on YouTube, honestly.
Probably.
But it's so cool. I mean, that album, like I never knew the song Van Diemen's Land. And I was like, ooh, that's a really cool song. Or like,
great song.
I didn't know if they did. I knew their version of Helter Skelter before the Beatles. And so I was like, that's a cool song. And then I heard the Beatles version. I was like, oh yeah, that's the song U2 was covering. So that kind of got me into some of the U2 deeper cuts was Rattle and Hum. But I was just like a moderate fan of theirs.
Music Sanctuary was mentioning the Rush Beyond the Lighted Stage. I don't remember. I'm not I really appreciate Rush, but I don't own any Rush. But they did a documentary that was like a behind the scenes of was it the Snakes and Arrows tour or something? If that was even the name of the tour, I could be wrong. But they did a documentary about what went into all of the stage setup and everything. And it was like a 4 or 5 part. I didn't remember what that documentary was called, but I watched the whole thing and I was riveted. I thought it was fantastic. Loved it. I think it was one of their last tours. So loved it. You got any more questions on your magic list there?
Oh,
Jay?
yeah. Sorry. So what were we saying? I think you were just talking about concert prices and venues and things like that. So I thought of this earlier today. Okay. So this is your time machine question. So,
is it a DeLorean?
Of course. Is there any other kind?
I have one made out of Lego.
I know.
I did.
What performance would you want to see live? Seating of your choice. Like you could be front row, Woodstock, whatever it is. Okay, and then that's kind of a pretty basic, easy question. And then the follow-up would be, or a separate question, create the concert you want to see. What band at what venue?
Well, the first part is easy. I mean, the seminal moment in music history. I want to be front row with the Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Good answer.
I mean, not a great concert, but just
to be there for it.
Was there a bigger musical moment? I don't know that there was. So
no, yeah. I mean, easy for me. Concert is Last Waltz. To be at Winterland for the Last Waltz would be so. I mean, just to see. I love that version of Dr. John's Such a Night. I listen to that weekly. Caravan, I listen to about that much. Van Morrison. I mean, everything about that show is just wonderful. Even the band. In terms of a dream artist at a show, I would have loved to have seen Petty at the Forum in 1997 during that 3-week stay that they were at the Forum. That was the most recent box set that came out where they were doing a ton of cover songs. I mean, they had John Lee Hooker came out, Roger McGuinn came out. Just a fantastic run of shows. I mean, different set list every night. And that's when Petty said that they were at their tightest as a group. I would have loved to have seen those shows in the late 90s.
There's another good one, Queen at
Live
Aid.
That's a good answer there, yeah.
I would have loved to have seen The Last Waltz. Here's one. I would really have loved to have seen Linda Ronstadt when she was backed by the Eagles before they were the Eagles.
Mm.
That was
I would have loved to have seen any of those early Michael Nesmith shows after the Monkees with Red Rhodes on the pedal steel guitar. I mean, they played at Grimey's, I think, in Nashville or in wherever that Grimey's in Nashville. Probably Texas. I can't remember. But anyway, to see Elton John at the Troubadour when he was a trio with him and Nigel Olsson and Dee Murray. So yeah, it was just Elton, drummer, bassist. Those shows were electric. That's like that 11-17-70 record, Jason, that you listened to. Like that era of Elton would have been awesome to see.
I would have loved to have seen Elvis on the Louisiana Hayride before he was famous.
68 Special. That would have been killer.
Yep. The last Buddy Holly show, the night of the plane crash.
My word. Yeah, with you had Waylon Jennings there and all those guys.
Yep. We'll put a lot of miles on our time machine.
Jason, where are you heading, Jason?
Well, I'm glad Richard mentioned it. When I thought of this question, I want to see someone, I don't care who, at the Red Rocks. Like I want to see, like when I was getting into Dave Matthews Band, seeing them at the Red Rocks was like the pinnacle of seeing them, right? So Dave Matthews at Red Rocks would be big. The concert I would go back in time to see would probably be Hendrix at the Monterey Pop Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a really big deal for him. I know he was big at Woodstock, but like I think Monterey Pop, when he did that, there was I forget who else was on the set list. It was crazy bands were on there, and I think Butterfield Blues Band were they part of that? But anyway, the other one I thought of I couldn't forget was of course Newport 65. to see Dylan do the electric and to see what that experience was like.
Yeah, because you had Peter Yarrow come out from Peter Palmieri, and he was introducing him, and he comes out and he's like, Bob, can you do one more song? Because like they played like 12 minutes, and he was the headliner, and he's like, please just play one more song.
And Bloomfield was up there, so I don't know. There's so many great ones, but I don't know. You can just go on. That'd be a whole stream in itself. People talking about classic concerts.
People talk about wanting to be at Woodstock. I wouldn't have touched Woodstock with a 10-foot pole. I mean, it was obviously like
I don't.
I would have hated to be at Woodstock.
That's why I said in my question was like you could choose your seating, because I would never go to Woodstock unless I was like front row, like being able to see it and not 300,000 people back
in the
mud and everything else, right? But
no.
Wow, look at that, Richard! Holy Christ!
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Rush doesn't seem like a Red Rock show. That's
no, I didn't think that either. But I think anyone at Red Rocks would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Did y'all watch the Billy Joel special when it aired?
No.
I know that was like the big like conundrum is like they cut Piano Man like at the very end for like CBS to move into their next program because they started late. But then they're like, we're going to show it again, and now it's on Paramount. Whoa!
Wow!
14 times in a row. Wow!
Vaginal taking it 14 times.
Yikes!
How many shows are they saying?
Smells fishy.
Dear Lord.
Fishy vagina.
Moving along, Jay. You got anything else on your magic list?
Vaginal. Are you seeing fish at the Sphere in Vegas? That's where they are right now. Which would be a very expensive undertaking.
That's another one I would have liked to see. You two are the Sphere.
Yeah, you were almost there. It was the week off or something.
I was there the day after and left the day before. God,
yeah, that stinks.
Okay, what about you have to line up a collaboration between two artists, dead or alive. They have to release a full-length album. Who is it? Doesn't necessarily have to make sense. It's just two people that you want to see get into a room together and figure something out. And only two people. So not a backing band or anything else. It's just the two guys. And I'm sure most artists at that level are probably multi-instrumentalists. They could probably fill in with drums.
Oh, so they have to play. They can't be like a band. It's got to be two people.
Yeah,
just two people making music.
Oh, shit.
At their prime, around 1966 or 7, I would have loved to have seen McCartney in the same room as Brian Wilson.
Oh, wow. Good answer.
Because that was like the big thing. And like they ended up doing a song like in the early 2000s together. But when Brian was still like, pets, like that Pet Sounds and the Smile, Brian Wilson, that was Paul McCartney doing Revolver into Sgt. Pepper. If you'd have put them in the same room and like the production levels, put them both in Abbey Road Studios with George Martin, that would have just been incredible to see. Especially that would have given Paul a reason to get away from John for a bit. And for Wilson to not worry about Mike Love's opinion, I think it would have been like I think you would have had some like beautiful like symphonic pop stuff come from the two of those guys. Beautiful, beautiful.
Jeez, that's hard to beat. That's a pretty good answer. I haven't even thought about answering. I just thought of the question.
I have a smart ass answer, but.
You have Taylor Swift and John Mayer.
No, I was going to say, I'd really like to see Guy Patterson from The Wonders with Del Paxton doing a jazz album. You get that joke, Sam?
Yeah,
I don't.
It's from the movie That Thing You Do.
Yeah.
Very end of the movie. The Wonders break up and Guy Patterson meets his hero Del Paxton and they do it. Go watch the movie. It's a fantastic movie.
Do you have a real answer, Jason? Rob?
I don't know why I just thought of this. I don't even think it's a well thought out answer. I don't even know if the collab would be good or not. But seeing Peter Green play with Mike Bloomfield, I like Peter Green's voice. Obviously, a blues aficionado, and Bloomfield like one of my favorite guitarists ever. but Bloomfield comes from straight from like a Chicago blues sound, whereas Peter's kind of got more of a ethereal sort of quality to when he plays. I think they're both regarded as very authentic, typical, white blues guys. I think seeing those two in a studio would be interesting, but I don't think it's a good answer. It's just two guys I really like. If I had to really think about a good answer, I don't know. You'd have to put I don't know. Someone like Neil Young, like a songwriter guy with, I don't know. Christ, that's a tough question.
Okay, so what about this, Jason? Like, this is one of those things that could probably work. I mean, you have Neil, who's, regarded as like the godfather of grunge.
Yeah.
You put him in a room with like Eddie Vedder, and they do like an acoustic album together. Like, there's acoustic
that'd
albums.
That'd be great. That I'll go with that answer. They've already collaborated, but yeah.
Yeah, even if Eddie, like a full album, have they done a full album?
Kind of, sort of, but actually Eddie wasn't even on part of the album. But anyway, yeah.
Well, can you imagine? Like, I mean, even if Eddie takes all the vocals and Neil has like these like ripper, guitar leads on there,
dirty guitar stuff.
It's not even that. I mean, even again, like they do like a like a Harvest Moon kind of situation with like Neil.
You know what they did together after 9/11? They were on that special. Remember, all the artists got together.
Yeah, like the Who was on there. John Amos was last performance with the Who.
Yeah, so the Eddie and Neil did a Pearl Jam song called Long Road. It's phenomenal. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's
I don't have an answer. I'm completely drawing a blank.
Yeah, two artists. Like, who would you like? I don't know, Bono and Taylor. There you go.
I'd like to see Taylor and Stevie Nicks do something. I think that'd be great.
Oh,
she wrote Stevie Nicks wrote the intro to in the liner notes for Tortured Poets, but they'd have to have a band because Stevie shakes the maracas and plays a tambourine. So.
Well, as long as she's got a voice and Taylor can play guitar, right?
Piano.
Yeah.
Well, there's my answer: Stevie Nicks and Taylor Swift.
That's a tough one. Okay, that's it for my questions. We're both done.
Yeah. Well, you underperformed. You didn't have enough to carry us through 2 hours.
Well, okay, I got a couple more, but they're so basic, right? It's like, actually, one of them's weird. Let's do it anyway. Would you cut your collection, and you can include CDs in this one, would you cut your collection in half to score $10,000, but that $10,000 can only be used for audio equipment or room treatment related stuff, music playback related stuff? Would you get rid of half your collection to improve the quality of the sound of the rest of your collection?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's harder for me because I have fewer albums, but yes.
I have almost the same amount of CDs as I do vinyl. I don't listen to my CDs because I have them all digitally. So
so that's your loophole for this one.
That's my loophole. I don't
think vinyl. Make it vinyl. You got to make it vinyl. Make it harder.
I don't know that I need any audio improvements. I mean, I'm not an audiophile. What I have works fine for this room and sounds fantastic. But I'll still take $10,000 and I'll buy some more guitars to hang on my wall. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It has to do with sound, though. It's those guitars are
gotta be sound, yeah.
It has to be a sound dampening.
All right. Well, I guess the 14 guitars I have is enough.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, my loophole with that would be like, because again, I live in an apartment. I'm on the third floor of an apartment, and so like I would obviously like get something that's super nice, but also do some sort of like padding in my sunroom where my record player is, which could then double down as like a practice space for my guitar. So like it would be like killing two birds kind of thing. Because I would have like this like insulation in this room. I can make it like a recording place for my videos, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, again, like my system is like it's like $130, $150 pair of speakers from Amazon that I use for my CDs, and then I switch it from CD to auxiliary for my record collection. And, listen to it through there. And I remember like when Glenn was here a couple of years ago, he's like, this is a really good sounding, set of speakers. And I was thinking like just an Amazon, set of speakers. So like, it just, for the small space that I have, like it works, like it's exactly what I need. Like I can't blow this place, to Kingdom Come. That's an apartment.
But you don't need to either, right? I mean,
no, you don't.
You know what? I had my best, one of my best friends is over, and he's just getting into stereos and records, and his taste in music is whatever. He's into classical and all this shit, which knocks self out. But he's been my best friend for 35 years, but he's an elitist snob, and he and I have nothing in common. So I don't know why we're friends, but we are. And he's all like, I just bought an amp and it cost me $5,000. I looked at him and I said, you're a fucking moron. I go, why would you spend, and that's the way he and I talk to each other. I'm just like, that is nuts. I said, I don't, you own 20 records. And but I said to him, man, I said, you know what? If that's your thing, if what gets you off is making those 20 records sound like you're in the middle of the symphony orchestra,
Yeah.
Cool. For me, it's not about spending $1 bazillion on an awesome stereo. My stereo sounds very good for this room. I'd rather spend that money on a massive library of music. It's all what you enjoy, right? So
yeah. Here's a question for you two guys. I mean, like we may or may not do Discogs, religiously or whatever, but like how deep right now is your want list of like, do you have like 20 records right now that you're like that they're just like on the cusp of being purchased, or like are you just kind of like you buy it when you see it?
Buy it when I see it. If I look at my want list right now, there's probably 150 records in my want list as I scroll through it. And most of them are ones that I'm probably never going to find it, but I have it because I watch it. Maybe there's,
I use it as a visual cue, like a reminder. If I'm going to a record store, I'm going to go through that and then make sure I recognize the album cover. Because a lot of my want list is stuff that I've heard that's maybe a little obscure and doesn't come to mind readily all the time. So that's my want list. And I use my want list like I'm pretty nerdy about matrix numbers and all that stuff. So I add to my want list the exact copy I want, knowing full well that, if I come across something in a store, I'm like, oh, this is the one that's supposed to be the good one, right? So I'll get that one, right? But that's kind of a more nerdy level thing. But basically, I have a want list. I haven't added to it for quite a while, but I would say right up there with Rob. I got well over 100 albums in here for sure.
It's very rare that anything gets removed from my purchased. I mean, I actually took something off my want list the other day because I purchased it, and I'm like, man, I don't remember the last thing something went from want list to collection. It's been a long time.
Dan, I want to come visit.
3/4 of my want list is stuff I will either never find or can't afford, but it's on there because I do want it. And then the others is just reminders that I'm looking for that. And if I stumble across it, cool, but I'm probably not going to stumble across it.
That's my thing. I mean, right now, I don't, because I'm not a collector. I'm not like Rob. You're a Beatles collector.
I'm a collector for the Beatles, but I still listen to the Beatles. But that's the only thing I collect. Everything else is just.
And you're a completist with a lot. I mean, Blue Roto, you're a completist with.
Right, but I also listen to all of those things too.
Yeah.
So I would say I am a Beatles collector because I have like a dozen Sgt.
You have bootlegs and you have alternate covers and all that stuff.
I got a Taylor Swift bootleg coming in the mail.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thing is that my want list right now is 4 or 5 records that have been announced to come out later this year. Like I don't have a want list necessarily for albums that I don't have that have already been out for 50 years or whatever. It's very small, and it's kind of one of those things. Like when I see it, I get it. Like for me, I really want to buy all the Jackson Browne albums on vinyl, which is a very cheap undertaking. But there are still a bunch that I'm missing, and I'd love to have them all. But at the same time, I don't have this deep want list of things that are this copy of this this Tom Petty album that was only 200 made. Like I don't have that kind of thing on my list. But I don't know.
I didn't realize Dan was in Surrey. How about that?
Yeah, he's a BC guy. I always show him the BC beer I'm drinking there. He's always interested in that.
I get to Surrey maybe once every couple of years. The next time it happens, Dan, I'll let you know.
Yeah, if you do that, Rob, I'll fly down.
Perfect. It sometimes happens for work. So when people say completist, do you need to include singles and non-album? I mean, that really is up to you. I mean, it comes to the Beatles, no, not for me, because you have a million singles. So for me, it's just albums.
Yeah, because I mean, you're not a 45 guy either, are you?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a few. I have a bunch. You know, when I was a teenager, I went through my parents' 45s, and I took a whole bunch of 45s of just songs that I liked, that I'm never going to buy the album of or whatever.
Yeah.
And I might crack that box once every 2 years and sit down for an hour and a half and listen to a bunch of them, but rarely. And then there's the odd, weird collectible 45 that I might pick up. Like,
did you order that Oasis 45 that was in there? I know I sent you a link.
I didn't, because I have the 12-inch version that came out on Record Store Day like 15 years ago, on one of the first Record Store Days. So I have that one, and I'm like, well, I don't need the 45 when I have the identical thing in a 12-inch.
Yeah,
12-inch singles typically sound really good too.
Yeah, it does. And that particular Oasis one, Supersonic, the original one from the 90s is hundreds and hundreds of dollars. The original Record Store Day one is like, people are selling it for like $100, which is stupid. But I'm like, yeah, there's nothing other than the fact that it's a different format. I mean, there's nothing else on it. So I'm like, I'm good with the 12-inch. If I were to go to my local record store and they had it there for, you know, $5 or $10, I'd pick it up. But no, I didn't order it. So
yeah, I know. I mean, I'm like that with a lot of things. I mean, again, like if that's like a crazy like Avett Brothers single that I never saw before. I mean, so like our you know, over at Shamrock and Records, Brian,
I love Brian.
He doesn't do a lot. I wish he did. I love like his style.
Yeah, he's taking a big break. He might be one every 6 months now.
For him, it'll actually be between him and Harry. Back to your question, Jason, about like what collection I would steal. But Brian mentioned a single that came out probably 10 years ago now, of the Avett Brothers with Randy Travis. They did a CMT Crossroads concert, and I didn't realize that they had a single that had come out, and I found it on Discogs for like $12. And so I was like, yeah, I've got to have that, because it wasn't like on any other record. It was straight from the live TV performance. So stuff like that I'll get as a single, but like I don't go seek out the singles, especially if it's not in a picture sleeve. Like I'm only gonna get a single if it's in a picture sleeve.
Yeah. The only other time I'll get a single is if it's a band I really love, and the only place to get that particular song is on a single. One of my favorite bands, Whitehorse, they put out a single a few years ago on Record Store Day. It was the only place I could get that song. So I'm like, yeah, okay, fine.
Well, that's like the Mind Games EP that came out for Records Store Day. Like that. I mean, that box set's coming out like in a month or two.
Right. Exactly.
For the John Lennon people. So you're just getting 4 tracks, you know, in advance, and it's a collectible, like Glow in the Dark or whatever they did.
Yeah.
So,
does this mean anything to you, Jason? My last piece was a Trans Rotor Dark Star reference turntable from Germany with a Soren 12 beat. I don't even know what that means.
Kind of Unami cartridge. That's awesome. I don't know gear as much as I wish I do gear, and kind of like Dan alluded to earlier, or I don't know, it was Music Sanctuary. Like I'm collecting records for the system that I'll own one day. Like I don't have anything special here at all, but I desperately want to learn a lot about the science behind all the sound stuff, because I don't want to fall into some kind of trap. I believe there's some kind of point you get to in buying gear where you have to stop spending money because your room just won't allow it to get any better. So then you have to build a room, and I'm not going to freaking do that, right? Vaginal's biting this time.
Do I work at Beaver Lumber? Beaver Lumber doesn't exist anymore.
I think that's where Vaginal shops.
Jesus. No, but I am in the commercial woodworking industry. Let's see here.
Beaver, hardly know her.
Yeah, exactly. Beaver Lumber was a lumber store chain up here that was purchased by Home Hardware, which is one of our nationwide hardware stores. Sam, I might see Harry's collection next month. A few more VC people will be there too. That's
so cool. Yeah, because Trevor and Harry kind of met up by accident during Record Store Day, like in line. They just kind of ran into each other. Yeah,
that's cool. Taylor Swift did play with Def Leppard, and it was kind of, you know, it was what it was. I would love to hear that. Like, I would love to hear it now, because she's a stronger singer now than she was back then. But yeah, I have a digital version of that. We'll get wrapping this up here in a minute. Richard says, I can't afford the sound system I'd love to have, and my hearing is shot enough to know any better.
Yeah, that's the other factor too, right? Like, at what point do you reach that, that dollar value where you just don't get any improvement?
Beaver Lumber was my go-to in Coquitlam. I've been to Coquitlam many times. Home of the handyman, absolutely. All right, 2 hours. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
What do you got? We know Jason hasn't made a video because he doesn't make videos. Which
it seems to be the way. Yeah.
He made a good list of questions.
He made a good list of questions, so we'll keep him on board for another week. He's like Vladimir Guerrero with the Jays. He's not producing, but we keep him around.
The Jays. End of stream.
So I guess now I will say in Jason's defense, he will be appearing in a video that's coming out probably Friday morning. Something I've been working on for a bit. We had a Canadian Vinyl Community Summit the other day, virtually. Glenn was supposed to be on it, but he canceled at the last minute. So he kind of did an apology video the other day. But there was a collection of us Canadians got together. There was me, and there was Jason, and there was Racer Joe, and there was Brian from Embryonic Robot, and then there was Peter from Music is a Journey, who's a Canadian that lives in Tokyo. And a bunch of us got together and we chatted for an hour about Canadian music. And I think I can speak for Jason when we say we had a hell of a lot of fun.
That was cool. I felt very patriotic by the end of it.
Wait till you see the intro that I put on this video, man.
Cool.
All I could think of was, remember that Molson Canadian commercial? I am Joe,
yes,
and I am Canadian.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
The greatest commercial ever. So anyway, I'm going to just edit that together, and it's probably going to go up on Friday. So while Jason didn't make a video, he will be appearing in a video on Friday. So
there you go, Jason.
Yeah. What do you got going on, Sam? Anything you put out recently? Anything new? What's coming on?
Well, let me acknowledge our boy Vaggie Audio down there. You did not make me uncomfortable, my friend. Your presence on these streams crack me up. I love it.
Yeah. Same.
No, I appreciate everybody watching. I went about a week without posting a video. Just I got a lot going on in my life right now. But I did do my April music finds. It posted today. Had a lot of really good comments with it. Just really, really cool. It kind of, somebody commented, I said it was all killer, no filler for me in April with music that I had pre-ordered that all came in kind of within the month. So I did that. I also recorded a response. It hasn't been posted yet. I'm not sure when I'll post it yet, but I did do a response to our boy Alex's contest that he posted yesterday for 500 subs.
Yep. I'm going to do one too.
Really cool.
Jason should too. Because
Jason told me off camera he hates Alex, so
but he still should anyway. So
he's not going to do a video.
True, Alex. Not true.
But, no, yeah. So that's going to be coming up. It's really, really that was really, really fun to do. I think I might do. I need to listen to this album another time or two. I really want to put out a review of this before it comes out because I did get it early. So I might do a review. I haven't done a review in a long time of a record. And I will not say who or what the topic is going to be, but I will say that on Friday morning, I will be part of a live stream that will be posted on my community page. I've been told by the other host not to mention anything. We're just going to kind of do it as kind of a little surprise for folks who are up and about Friday morning. It'll be during like the rush hour traffic for work. So stay tuned. I think we're getting together. I think 8:30 Friday morning. So stay tuned. Look out for my community page. I'll try to remember to share it. But I
work from home, so after I drop my kid off at school, I'll tune in.
Yeah, so I'll be part of a live stream on Friday morning that I'm looking forward to. So again, I've got a video that's already been recorded, a video I just posted today, one that I'm thinking about making, and then a live stream Friday. So a few things happening after kind of a lull for the last couple of weeks. So
good.
Right on. Awesome.
Well,
guys.
thank you
so much.
Thank you to everyone watching. Thanks to all the regulars. Trevor, Richard, Dan, JWG Moore, Music Sanctuary, Vaginal, anyone else that I missed, because I don't.
It's always funny.
We appreciate all of you guys, all of you folks tuning in every week. You make it fun for us to do, and I can't believe that people listen to us talk like idiots for 2 hours. So thank you for sharing your time with us. We appreciate it, and we'll be back next Wednesday.
Take care.
Maybe Alex will be here. We don't know. He's a busy man these days, so. It's what happens when you're such a famous YouTube celebrity. So.
Vaginal, you rock too.
He does, absolutely.
Whoever you are.
Yeah, whoever you are.
Whoever you are. But we know roughly where you are in my neck of the woods.
We're pinning it down.
We know where Vaginal is, yeah.
So we can find it. Not so elusive after all.
Thanks again, everybody. This was a lot of fun. Subscribe to Jason Arso, Sam St. John if you don't already, and myself, Northern Revolutions. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye, boys.
Thanks.
Ciao.